Good afternoon. Like like you mentioned earlier, the fire safety in standard restaurants. This is a quite unusual topic for in a platform like this where we are talking a lot about technical detailing, how we are supposed to manage the fire safety in lot of our premises. But a very interesting key factor also has to be considered in a place like India where we are so populated and with the amount of growing demand for restaurants and cafes and bars which are coming up in all the major cities today. So let alone just the metros, but even a smaller town today are having so many of these situations which are not thought about. So I am going to be speaking something which is quite thought-provoking in terms of our design fraternity as well as the a lot of vendors who are here displaying such amazing products. So understanding the fire safety is basically, if you look at India, major cities like Bombay, Kolkata, parts of Delhi as well, we have a lot of British architecture which is still existing, and luckily for us, there are a lot of conservating situations that we are doing where we are preserving those structures. But the core factor is we are missing out on a situation where we are not understanding what were those structures made for. How are we using it today? A lot of public halls or public space is being converted into a restaurant, into an office, or into a bowling alley for that matter. So the key factor is to understand I'm going to run through the text quite fast because the images speak more about what I'm speaking about today. So you look at these amazing massive structures. This is the Zara showroom in near Fort, which not recently, I think almost 2 years ago they opened this. So this was a historic building which was converted into a showroom. Now, situation like this, which are coming up, including some of the old mills that we are having in Bombay as well, and I think some in Delhi also, which I have been seeing lately. So these mill areas were designed exclusively for a particular purpose. So to understand as an architect, it's our duty, architect and a designer, it's our duty to understand not only to look at the aesthetic part of it, but also technical situation where it causes a fire hazard. So with this, we had a situation in Bombay, we had a situation in Delhi as recently as a month where there was a fire in a terrace part of a hotel. I don't know the location, but yeah. So you see these crowded areas like Khan Market in Delhi, you see Kamla Mill in Bombay, including even Phoenix malls. So not that I criticize what they are doing, but I think the way we are doing it is something wrong. And as an architectural fraternity, it's our responsibility to be a part of the society and to give something better to all of them. Of course, we do have a situation where our government and the municipal agencies are giving us fire norms, including our fire department. But I think there is still something missing which we need to understand. For example, we do have a typical signage requirement for any of these kind of a crowded public space where the directional movement of those people in case of an emergency like this is of course mentioned. But is that only enough? There are more to it. We need to understand what can be a capacity of a restaurant or a bar or a nightclub, and not just vaguely designed because we need to ensure that our clients are making money. So in terms of restaurant, there are also situations like you would have seen in many cities, we have some old bungalows which are getting converted into a restaurant. Now, again, you have a weird situation where the kitchen is artificially created in an external space probably, and the living space and the rooms of the restaurant is converted into different seating arrangements. Now, in case of fire, nobody thinks about how are you expecting those people sitting inside to escape. It's already so difficult to understand which part of the restaurant you are sitting at. I do face the same problem when I go to, recently I was in a restaurant called The Bungalow in Udaipur, and beautiful place, of course, amazing food, beautiful place, but does it solve my safety purpose? When I'm going with my family, I need to ensure in case of an emergency, how do I escape that particular route? The windows were all grilled because it was an old bungalow. They needed to maintain those windows because of the aesthetic value. But are we forgetting the core important part of a structure like this, which is to understand that we are responsible. It's not just responsible in terms of law that I can be arrested, but no, a life is important. That is why we as a design fraternity and a community, we need to also, with so many innovative products that we are having these days, we can evolve and make a place design-wise, aesthetically beautiful, yes, but also technically we take care of all these safety hazards. So then we can educate even our clients. Many times it does happen. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be negative, or I'm trying to talk ill about someone or a particular organization, but like these mills which are coming up, there are no thoughts about it. The one which happened in Kamla mill, I did have personally a project which was coming up there. I rejected that project because of the width of the staircase. It was scary to see that. It was smaller than even the widest of the staircase that you need to go to your water tank in your building. That was not right. So those are the kind of situations where we need to put our foot down and explain to people it's not only about financial feasibility about a project or making profit out of it, but also a social cost. So that is where, as an architect, we do study sociology in our architectural academic year, and we miss out to understand where we are supposed to implement that. So this is the right place, right time to use them and try to explain to our end users. So I'm not going to the technical thing, because I think all of you are probably even aware of all the technical situations in terms of where the kitchen should be located, the exhaust system of the kitchen, how you are not supposed to keep one single heated appliance next to another. But with so many kitchen consultants coming in today, and because of the constraint in the space, there is the bylaws of the minimum square feet of a kitchen for a particular restaurant is not thought about. So that's where again we are failing. So again, the fire escape route, it's not just give me a direction. During a time of a panic, trust me, none of us, I'm a touchwood, I hope none of us are ever in that in future, or in the past also we're not there. But if you look at it, nobody has the time to look at those signages. There are things that we can do beyond that, how to understand, make a person understand what is the fastest escape route. It's like showing them light. So give them an opening, show them places where they can really escape and try to get out. Not just follow the standard things which have been followed all these years. So again, not trying to criticize our government rules and regulations, our municipal rules and regulation, our fire safety rules and regulation, but also we need to evolve with that, with times, with the way things are happening, because those rules and regulations were written at a time where you had a restaurant within a hotel or in a building which was dedicated to have a restaurant in a ground floor surface. But with the change, with the evolution which is happening, to understand the material impact of the situation, also the places where you are trying to do it, you don't even have many times fire sprinkler systems, and they just forcefully put those things inside, not even trying to test whether they are capable of. So those testings and those sprinkler testings should be done at a part of a government regulation, which can help us to put that up as a real feature. So again, these are some of the standard bylaws that we generally use. I'm going to talk about two of my projects, very quick one, not trying to take too much of your time. So two of my projects, this one is basically in UK. So this is a doner kebab. So the best part about the bylaws that comes in UK for a standalone restaurant is so beautiful. I don't need to even put my head and start thinking about it. So even if I am the dumbest of the architect or the designer, if I just follow all the standard rules and regulation, my project is fire safety free. So if you look at the facade, if it's a restaurant, I cannot have a blocked window. It needs to have a glass window, so that at any given time that glass can be broken with a chair which has got a metal leg, and my customers can run away at the same time. So those are those key feature which is generally never thought about, because we follow the aesthetic or the cost part of it. So this is again the same restaurant, and you can see, I mean, any part of the view of the restaurant is having an external facade which is completely open, so it helps your customers to run away at a particular time. So we have, this was a second project, quite interesting, because we walked away from the project. The client wanted it was a ground floor and a first floor restaurant, and it opened finally. There was another architect who did that, but we walked away because the client wanted the kitchen to be on the first floor level. He had cylinders coming in. There was no ventilation happening there. The staircase was supposed to be a nightclub. Staircase was dark. Everything was dark. In case of an emergency, there was no thought about how will a customer really going to get off from that place. I did not want another disaster to happen, and I did not want to be a part of it. But end of the day, we all think about making money as well, but we need to have that 1% thought process. Are we doing something right or wrong? And with trust me, with the innovative materials we are having today, including fabric, which are fire retardant. So along with your door, sir, there are fire retardant fabrics and materials, paints, everything can be done where we can improvise it. If the client had given us permission to even add those things, I would have even thought about doing this in the next level. But there was a constraint in terms of the costing of the project, which is where we lost out. Sorry. So again, this was that restaurant which we tried to give the maximum open windows, but unfortunately, but somebody has to do that job. So it's India. Yeah. Thank you.